I'm having breakfast with Mary Lee. Yo-do-do-do-dee. I'm having breakfast with Mary Lee.
Huh, my check engine light's on, but hey, if you're game, let's just motor through this podcast together. As well we should. My special guest on this episode is Ellen Murphy. For 25 years, the Commissioner of the Revenue for Frederick County, and now she's writing historical fiction novels and getting great reviews. Stand by for Ellen Eschell Murphy. Right now, though, you're brainbuster. In a recent survey, 50% said that they spend their lunch break at work doing this. Doing what? Is it A, shopping online, B, gossiping with coworkers, or C, listening to music? The answer revealed at the end of the program. Before we chat with Ellen, let's take a look at your podcast planner for the week, nationaldaycalendar.com. Monday the 17th, it's National Eat Your Vegetables Day. It's also Root Beer Day. Eat your vegetables and you can have the root beer. Tuesday the 18th is National Splurge Day. It's celebrating you and doing something that you may not usually take the time or the money to do. So go to that favorite restaurant. Take a nap. Splurge. You don't have to empty your bank book to do it. Wednesday the 19th, it's Juneteenth, commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865 with an announcement. As the community listened to the reading of General Orders No. 3, the people learned for the first time that the Civil War was over and that after more than a century of slavery and years of war, it was official. All slaves were now freed men. Some great celebrations this past week in Berryville, on the Old Town Mall in Winchester, and at the Museum of the Shenandoah Valley. Thursday the 20th, summer officially begins. It's our longest day of the year. And how appropriate is this? It's also National Vanilla Milkshake Day. Friday the 21st, it's National Take Your Dog to Work Day. It's always the Friday after Father's Day. Saturday the 22nd, it's National Kissing Day. It's also Onion Rings Day. So I guess as long as you're both having onion rings, it's okay to smooch. And Sunday the 23rd, National Hydration Day. So with our first official week of summer, and we've got some brutal high temperatures this week, please keep your pets comfortable, keep them hydrated, keep yourself hydrated, bring the critters in where it's cool. All righty, time to catch up with a good friend. For 25 years, she worked with numbers as our Commissioner of the Revenue for Frederick County, then retired in 2019. Now she's having fun with words. Please welcome Ellen Murphy, who goes by Ellen Eschell Murphy, is writing books and getting rave reviews. Ellen, it's great to have you with us on the podcast.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here, and it's great talking with you again. I haven't seen you in quite a while, and it's very nice.
It is nice to reconnect. It really is. So you moved to Frederick County at the beginning of your sophomore year at James Wood, and that's where you met your husband, Al. And then after graduation, worked at C&S Bank. And then, fast forward your life timeline, you become the Commissioner of the Revenue for Frederick County. And even though you're dealing with numbers every day, you got to put your writing skills to good use by writing training manuals and teaching other commissioners of the revenue.
Well, math was always my favorite thing ever. So when I became a Commissioner of Revenue, math was a very important feature, of course, of that. And so I was right in my element. But there is a lot of law involved in being a public servant, and particularly a Commissioner of Revenue. And so I got interested in that angle of it, and they found that when I would write it up, it was understandable, and they had an educational system set up already anyway. So I became one of the instructors and traveled pretty much throughout the state giving classes so, a number of people wouldn't have to travel so far. But it was in addition to being Commissioner of Frederick County that I did that.
So many manuals about numbers and rules and so forth, but you said you were a frustrated writer. You had been writing some books and articles, but never had them published. But what changed that?
Once I had the time, once I wasn't helping my husband operate our own privately owned businesses, and I wasn't downtown, which was a very demanding job as Commissioner of the Revenue. And then with the extra things that I did, like the teaching on the side, it was quite time consuming. And then once I was home and looking at four walls, and then the hardest part of my life was when my husband passed. So I really needed something to get my mind off of that. And so then I decided I would publish what I was writing. And here I am now.
And here you are now. And I understand a good friend, Jay Foreman, sort of nudged and assisted you in that publishing.
He did. He has been wonderful. I had worked with his mother at the old CNS Bank at one time and knew her, but I had not met him, but I'd heard nice things about him. So not being a shy person, I just got acquainted with him and we hit it off. So he's been wonderful because he had published books before.
So how do you describe your books and how do you describe yourself as a writer?
I like to do research. So I am very careful that when I publish something, if it's old, that it's historically correct. If it's more modern, that it is logical and makes sense. So even though it's fiction, it's factual and not misleading.
Yeah. And I understand that some of your most popular works involve the Civil War and the history around that.
Yes. Yeah. And I get that honestly. My mother was a lodge from Whitehall, and my great-grandfather was in the Civil War. And I was kind of raised up knowing a good bit about it and, you know, how it affected the families and that kind of thing. And my books do include excerpts from actual battles or the outcome of battles and that kind of thing, all of which is factual. But my fictional characters in the books live properly for that period in time. What I have them able to do and so forth is all chronologically correct.
And I saw Jay Foreman this morning. We bumped into each other at breakfast, and I told him that we were going to be doing an interview, and he said, don't let her be so humble that she doesn't mention the reviews she's getting. And the Reader Views 5-star review awards for 2 of your books. Congratulations.
I know. I am so thrilled. You have no idea how happy I am. I didn't know much about them, but I have researched since I got them, plus what Jay told me, and evidently it's not a real common thing. So I am very thrilled that they thought my writing was of a quality to get such an award.
So tell us the titles of some of your books.
Okay. The Snow Goose and Other Tales is one of my very favorites that I've written, and one of the ones that is now going to be out and about for people to purchase. It's 3 stories of the Civil War in Northern Virginia, and the Snow Goose story is the middle one of the 3 in the book. And it is roughly related to something that happened on my grandmother's farm at one time. The Lost and the Found is another one of my books about the Civil War. And it is about the people that have come back or didn't get back and what the families endured, which is pretty much like all of my books refer to what is being done on the home front as well as to what's being done in the war. And that's kind of a little different from some of the Civil War books that you might see, which are more primarily battle stories. And this is the impact this has on what has happened at home. Like the fathers that don't make it back, and the mother and the little girl are trying to keep the farm alive, and the mother gets sick, and the little girl is wondering what's going to become of them because Daddy's not coming home anymore. You know, those kind of things. Now, those are the 2 books that have gotten the award so far. There's one more in this series, and it's called The Survivors, and that speaks very much like it sounds. Would you like me to read a synopsis from it?
Yeah. Would you please?
It says, Major Harmon Boggs of the Union Army was just what you would think a major would be, military bearing and all. He had barely survived an onslaught of the South, had a problem of a super headache with his wife, and was determined, as majors often are, to improve his life despite any of those issues. Now he was back in Pennsylvania, but how would it help that he had been a good Samaritan?
Aha, a little teaser. Any other books you want to mention?
I do have others that I have written. I have some that are early 1800s England, which was a fascinating time in history. I mean, women were starting to be recognized as something other than a housefrau, and politics was crazy, and there had been a war with France. It's a very, very interesting time in the world. So I've got a series of books, and I'm hoping to get those back out and published too. One of them that I have gotten a lot of emails from is people that read one that is called The Waif, W-A-I-F, and it's about a girl whose parents die suddenly of a disease in England, and it's her struggles to find a job, to feed herself. She is underage at the time. She's just a child, and someone comes in and steals her home pretending to be the heir, and so she's left fending for herself as only a teenager in the 1800s, and a woman at that. And it's based on some things I had read about in history, so it isn't false. It isn't a particular person, but it isn't false. That's one of my very favorites, is The Waif. I love that book. I can sympathize with the girl because I was very, very hard up at one time in my teens as well.
So you write under the name Ellen Eschell Murphy, and there's a reason that you put your maiden name in there, Eschell, in the middle.
There is. When I started writing, I went on the internet to just research my name to see if there was a duplicate. Oh, there was a duplicate, all right. There are like 16 authors named Ellen Murphy. So I didn't want to be confused with any of the others. You know, nothing against them, but, you know, I just want my work distinguishable as mine.
Absolutely. Ellen, if we want to find out more about you as an author and about your books, where should we go?
Well, I would suggest the easiest way is to do a search under authors and be sure you have my middle name included, ELLEN ESCHELL MURPHY, and it should pull up the books for you so that you can see what I have out there that is available.
So before I let you go, I have to ask you this. Before you retired, as we mentioned, you served as the Commissioner of the Revenue for Frederick County for 25 years. That was an elected position. Do you miss the campaigning?
Not at all. I met some really wonderful people, and I had lots of great cooperation. But it was a deterrent to life in general. I mean, it just is hard for anybody to get out there and put their name out there. You're going to run into people that don't like you, people that have misconceptions about the job, you know, just various problems like that, like anybody can imagine it would be. And I did have great help and great support, so that was fortunate. So it wasn't all unpleasant. But it is daunting, and it's exhausting because you're going night and day. And particularly if you're doing it while you're already in office, you've got that regular work hours. And then, you know, at night you're making speeches and going door to door and getting mailers ready to go out and that kind of thing.
Well, quite a compliment that you were the commissioner for 25 years. I would say you were well liked.
Well, thank you. I hope so. I did get good support from the public. I really did. You know, not always was everybody pleased with me because there are a lot of laws and you have to follow the law. So sometimes the decisions I made weren't always received with glee. But generally speaking, I was well rewarded by great people that were supportive of me and encouraged me and appreciated things I did for them. Just being able to help people. Try to actually look at the job as a public servant, or at least I did.
Well, thank you for serving us for 25 years, and congratulations on your new venture as an author and for the awards and for more books to come. You're going to be busy writing in addition to being busy with 6 grandsons, but wishing you all the best, Ellen Eschell Murphy.
It's been wonderful talking with you. I had missed not seeing you in quite a while, and it's been a pleasure.
Great story. All right, let's see how you did on Barry's Brain Buster. In a recent survey, 50% said that they spend their lunch break at work doing this. Doing what? Is it A, shopping online, B, gossiping with coworkers, or C, listening to music? And the answer is C, listening to music. Hey, it's been great to spend this 15 minutes with you. Please share the website breakfastwithbarrylee.com with others so they can join us at the table too. In closing, since Friday is National Take Your Dog to Work Day, I leave you with this quote that's been around a long time, but I still love it. My goal in life is to be the kind of person my dog thinks I am. I mean, after all, to err is human. To forgive is canine. Have a blessed week.